Allahu Allah.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله فالحمد لله الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا فالحمد لله الذي له ملك السماوات والأرض ولم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك وخلق كل شيء فقدره تقديرا فالحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدن ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا حييتم بتحية فحيوا بأحسن منها أو ردوها صدق الله العلي العظيم. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I have recited a verse from the Holy Quran which commands us to respond to the greetings by others in a better way. I also want to share one of the hadith which is called Hadith of Peace, Hadith of Salam. This hadith is narrated in Jami Tirmizi, and this is narrated by a great Sahabi Abdullah ibn Salam. And this hadith narrates when Prophet ﷺ entered Medina first time. He gave a small speech, small khutbah, or small piece of advice. This is the first entry to Mecca, Medina. Because in Mecca, there was no possibility of giving speech or advice or public khutbah, public gathering. Because the situation was very difficult in Mecca, public gatherings was not allowed. And it was not possible for the Prophet ﷺ to give khutbah or speech to the gatherings. And Sahaba, they were not allowed, they did not have this luxury to have the gatherings in Mecca. And Prophet ﷺ, when he entered Medina, migrated to Medina, Medina was more friendly and the situation was more friendly and there was no torture, and majority of the people, they either converted to Islam or they were sympathetic to Islam or they were curious to know about the Islam. They were not very harsh. They did not have harsh attitude towards Islam. So Prophet ﷺ, when he entered Medina, a large gatherings came, including Muslims and non-Muslims, to welcome him to the new city Medina. And Prophet ﷺ gave a speech. And this speech was like the first advice by Prophet ﷺ to the new society he was entering into. And after so many centuries, this piece of advice, this is still relevant to us, even the Muslims living in the non-Muslim society, the West. And we need to see ourselves to what extent we fulfill this hadith, the requirements of this hadith, and how far we are from this hadith, and how relevant this hadith to us living in the Western land. Prophet ﷺ said, Ya ayyuhan nas afshu salam. O people, spread the peace, spread salam, say the greetings, spread the greetings, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Wa atimutam, and feed the hungry, feed the other people. Wasilul arham, and look after the relatives, the blood relations. Wasallu billayli wan nasu niyam, and pray tahajjud when the whole humanity is asleep. Tadkhulul jannata bisalam, tadkhulul jannata bisalam, and you will enter paradise with peace. And this hadith is called hadith of peace, hadith of salam. It is called hadith of peace because it is narrated by a Sahabi. His name was Salam, Abdullah ibn Salam. And this hadith is called hadith of peace, hadith of salam, because in this hadith, Prophet ﷺ commanded us to spread peace, to spread salam, afsh salam. And all the 4 commandments in this hadith, they are like guarantee to be a peace in any society. There are so many reasons. And also, there are so many reasons that this hadith is called hadith of salam, hadith of peace. And also, in the end part of this hadith, Prophet ﷺ said, Tadkhulul jannata bisalam, you will enter paradise in peace. So this hadith begins with this hadith begins with the command to spread the peace, and it ends with the promise of peace. And one of the name of paradise is peace, is salam as well. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, Wallahu yad'u ila daris salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala invites you, persuades you to Darus Salam, to the house of peace, which is here, Darus Salam here means paradise. So this is the hadith of peace, and this is the first address of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We can see how comprehensive this message, this speech is. It is narrated by Abdullah ibn Salam, who was actually a Jew rabbi. He was the scholar of Jewish scriptures. And he said, I was of the first batch, of the first group who came outside Medina to greet Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because he wasn't a Muslim yet, and majority of the Muslims who gathered outside Medina to greet Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were not Muslim. They were just ordinary people. They were just curious to know. Let's see how this new prophet, this new message and messenger is like. You know, sometimes some celebrity or some known person comes in any community, in any city. Many people, regardless of their creed, religion, and their affiliation, they just out of curiosity gather to greet him, to see him, to welcome him. So Abdullah ibn Salam was one of those. He was not a Muslim. He said, I just came out of curiosity. His curiosity was also religious curiosity because he was a religious scholar of Jewish scripture. He was curious to know whether it's the same prophet which is predicted in their scriptures, in their books. How similar, how many symbols he has which are mentioned in our scriptures of the last prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because Jews, in their scriptures, in their books, it is mentioned the last prophet is about to come. And Abdullah ibn Salam was curious to know. Abdullah ibn Salam said, I was one of those people who came outside Medina to greet Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, he narrated, because later he became Muslim. He said, as soon as I saw Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I said to myself, I realized if this is the face he had, this face cannot be a face of a liar. He said, I suddenly recognized, I realized, araftu. As soon as I saw Prophet ﷺ, just he didn't have any conversation with Prophet ﷺ. He said, as soon as I saw Prophet ﷺ, I realized, araftu anna wajhahu laysa biwajhi kazib. If this is the face he has, it cannot be the face of a liar. Because there are many people who converted to Islam just by seeing Prophet ﷺ without any conversation. This is the personality. This is the appearance, the beautiful, handsome, and the confident appearance of Prophet ﷺ. The peace and serenity on the face of Prophet ﷺ. Many people, without any dialogue, without any conversation with Prophet ﷺ, merely seeing Prophet ﷺ, they converted to Islam. Because we know from the traditions that Prophet ﷺ was the most handsome, most attractive, most beautiful person Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever created in the entire humanity. He is the most beautiful person, most attractive person, handsome personality. You know, there is well-known hadith, we all know, that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was given half of the beauty. This is when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to Isra wal Miraj to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he met many prophets there. And when he met Prophet Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he described to his Sahaba that Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was so beautiful, was so handsome, that as if he is given half of the beauty. There are two interpretations of this hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One interpretation is that when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this, he meant that Yusuf is given half of the beauty of the whole humanity, entire humanity. And the second interpretation of this hadith is that when Prophet ﷺ said this, that Yusuf ﷺ is given half of the beauty, he meant half of his own beauty, half of the beauty of Prophet ﷺ. So Prophet ﷺ is meant to be, he is the last prophet. He is the most beloved Khatimun Nabiyyin, beloved Prophet ﷺ. He is meant to be the most beautiful, most handsome in the entire humanity. So many people converted to Islam merely seeing Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Abdullah ibn Salam, he said, as soon as I saw Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I saw the serenity and peace on his face. I suddenly realized, araftu anna wajhahu laysa biwajhi kazib. If this is the face he has, this face cannot be a face of a liar. There is another point which can be mentioned here to benefit us. That when the truth and Iman exists inside, it does appear on the face. There is something called spiritual light, nur, spirituality and peace. When a person has Iman inside, when the person has nur inside, it does become visible on the face as well. And our Prophet ﷺ was the ultimate manifestation of that truth, of that Iman, and of that peace inside of him. And whatever is inside, it does appear on the face. So this is similarly, the people of faith, the people of Iman and truth, they recognize, Allah gives them the special vision to recognize the truthful people. Abdullah ibn Salam, although he was not a Muslim at that time, but he was the believer in Allah. He was the follower of our Prophet, Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. He had truth inside of him. He was a scholar of religious scriptures. And he was looking into the truth. He was genuinely looking for the truth. He was genuinely looking at the Prophet ﷺ, whether he is a true prophet or not. He was looking at Prophet ﷺ in the light of his own religious teachings, genuinely, truthfully, sincerely. When people are sincere, even if they are not Muslims, when people are sincere in their findings, when people are truthful in their persuasions, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens their hearts and they do recognize that truth and they do convert to Islam. Similarly, Abdullah ibn Salam was a God-fearing person, was the scholar from the people of the book, and he recognized the truth, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him tawfiq to convert to Islam. So this is another manifestation that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, many people converted to Islam merely by seeing Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He then said, in my heart, I converted to Islam. And then he said, I moved near Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the gathering. I sat near to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and very keenly started listening to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he was about to say. And the words he said, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first words, the first piece of advice, the first khutbah, the first speech Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam uttered, he said, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, afshish salam, spread the peace, say salam, say greetings, exchange greetings with each other. This is the first commandment of his speech. Ya ayyuhan nas, afshish salam. And then he said, Wa atimu ta'am, and feed the hungry, feed each others, offer meal to each others, eat together. And then the third commandment, he said, Wasilul arham, look after the blood relations, your relatives, the relations of the womb. And then fourthly, Prophet ﷺ said, Wasallu bil-layli wan-nasu niyam. Pray tahajjud when the whole humanity is asleep. When the people are sleeping in the third part of the night, then a believer wakes up and do wuzu and pray tahajjud. This is the fourth commandment Prophet ﷺ gave. And then finally Prophet ﷺ in this hadith said, Tadkhulul jannata bisalam. You will enter paradise with peace. So, afshush salam, spread the greeting, say assalamu alaikum. Whoever you meet, say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And secondly, pravati mutta'am, and feed the poor. And thirdly, Prophet ﷺ said, Wasilul arham, look after the needy people. Look after the relatives. Maintain your relations. Do not cut off your blood relations. And fourthly, Prophet ﷺ said, Wasallu bil-layli wan-nahar, and pray tahajjud, pray in the night time. So he said, after listening to Prophet ﷺ, I moved near to Prophet ﷺ, and with slight informal conversation with Prophet ﷺ, Abdullah ibn Salam, the Jews' rabbi, he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. He converted to Islam. And we notice in this hadith that Prophet ﷺ addressed the humanity. In the beginning of the hadith, Prophet ﷺ didn't say, Ya ayyuhal Muslim, afshish salam. Oh, Muslims, spread the greetings of Islam. He said, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind. He is addressing, because Madina Medina was not the same as we see it now. We see the whole population of Medina is Muslims in these days. There is Islam and Muslims everywhere in Medina. When Prophet ﷺ entered Medina, the majority of the city was non-Muslims, Jews, idol-worshipping people. And those who converted to Islam, they were newly converted to Islam. And this was like a diversified society, mixed society. And Prophet ﷺ is not just addressing the Muslims. He is addressing the whole kind of mixed community. That is why he's saying, O mankind, Ya Yuhannas, regardless somebody is Muslims, non-Muslims, show, manifest your good akhlaq, offer your greetings, do your greeting, say Assalamu alaikum, good morning or good afternoon or peace be upon you, whatever. This is the first message. This is the first advice Prophet ﷺ is giving to the society, new society, where he is going to become a part of. Afshu salam. This is so important. The first piece of advice Prophet ﷺ gave to the mixed society, and this is the lesson for us. We are living in a mixed society where there are Hindus, Christians, Jews, non-Muslims. We sometimes limit our greetings to only non-Muslims. In one of the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذَا حُجِّيتُمْ بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنَ مِنَّا أَوْ رُدُّوهَا. When somebody greets you, respond to that greeting in a better way. If you can't greet back in a better way, at least greet back in the similar manner. Don't show your cold response. If somebody say, Assalamu alaikum, say, Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. If somebody says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, say, Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Show your impressions. That's what this ayah means. وَإِذَا حُجِّيتُمْ بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنَ مِنْهَا أَوْ رُدُّوهَا. When somebody greets you, do not show the cold response. Greet in a better manner. If you can't greet in a better manner, at least greet back in the similar manner. So these are the manners Prophet ﷺ and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are teaching. They are teaching us in Islam, in Quran. So this is the first command by Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is so important. There is a hadith in Sahih Bukhari that when Allah created, the first phrase Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam, it was Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. When Adam was created, he didn't know how to speak. He didn't know how to converse. He didn't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him. When Allah created Adam, He taught him the names of all the things. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا ثُمَّ عَرَضَهُمْ. He taught Adam the names of the things. And then he asked the angels, do you know the names of these things? Ism. We learn this in the grammar of any language. Ism, noun. Wa'allam, asma is the plural of ism. Allah taught him the ism, asma, the nouns of all the things. And when Allah asked angels, do you know the names of these things? The angels didn't know. Allah already had taught Adam alayhi salatu wasalam the isms, the asma, wa'allama Adam al-asma. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do we teach the language? We teach ism, we teach fail, we teach haraf, we teach verb. So, ism is the most important element of any grammar of any language. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him the nouns. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ. The first language, the first grammar of any language, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the teacher. And Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, our father, was the student. So, similarly, we also see in the beginning of Surah Rahman that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that I taught mankind how to speak. There are so many creatures by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah created so many creatures. Human is the topmost creature, Ashraful Makhluqat. And one of the reason Allah tells us for human to be the top creature is that they can speak. They have the ability of speech. They have the communication skill. Other creatures, they do not have meaningful, they do communicate, but they do not know the meaningful communication. We give speech, we give long khutbahs, we speak to each other. There are so many different languages: English, Arabic, Urdu, Punjabi, and so many other languages. And this is only the privilege of a human, mankind, that they have meaningful conversation method and communication system. And Allah said, Allamahul Bayan, I taught mankind how to give speech, how to have conversation, how to have a meaningful communication. Allamahul Ar-Rahman, Allamahul Bayan. Ar-Rahman, Allamal Quran. Ar-Rahman, Allamal Quran. I taught Quran. Who? Adam. Who? Humanity. Khalaqal insan. Khalaqal insan. I created insan. Allamahul bayan. And I taught him the bayan, the speech, the communication. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam alayhi salatu wasalam the communication, the language. The first phrase, because I was describing the importance of greeting, Afshu salam, communicate, greet each other, say assalamu alaikum to each other. The first phrase, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam asma, the ism, the names of the things, that this is laptop, this is chair, this is the rostrum, and this is chair. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught all the names. The first phrase, the first sentence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him was Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is the first phrase Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Adam that go to the angels and say to them, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And whatever reply or response they give to you, memorize that response. And this shall be your greetings in your life. So Adam alayhi salatu wasalam went to the angels and he uttered the first phrase, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The angels responded, Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In their response, they added wa barakatuh in their response. So this is what we know from a hadith in Sahih Bukhari. So this shows the importance of Assalamu alaikum, the importance of greeting. This shows the manners. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave so much emphasis on manners while dealing with each other, showing manners, showing greetings. This shows the greeting. And also Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, we are advised to say salam regardless of somebody we know or somebody we don't know. So this is one of the sign Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually described, that near the day of judgment, people will only say salam to those who they know. Sure, we are supposed to say assalamu alaikum to everybody, regardless we know him or we don't know him. Say the greetings, exchange the greeting. This is just the basic manners. So we are in a state of affairs in these days. We only exchange the greetings. We only exchange the smiles. Only with those we know. We only say Assalamu alaikum to. Sometimes we enter the masjid. We enter the masjid where we never have been. We are strangers in that masjid. You will notice, my brothers and sisters. People look at you. They are all Muslims. And they don't say Assalamu alaikum. Why? Because we don't know each other. That is why Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, say Assalamu alaikum to everybody, to those ala man arafta wa man lam ta'rif. That's what Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. To those who you know and also to those who you don't know, regardless. So this is just the basic manners, basic greetings. Spread this message of Islam. Ya ayyuhan nas, afshu salam. So this also shows that when we say Assalamu alaikum, this means peace be upon you. Because this is the first phrase Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, our father, was taught. And we see this exists in all the communities, especially the basic religions. Christians, they used to. Similarly, if you see any practicing Jew, they say shalom, shalom. It's same thing, salam, salam. Yeah, basic word is the same, shalom. They say to each other shalom. Similarly, if you go to the church practicing Christians, they say peace be upon you. Yeah, in their own language they say peace be upon you. It means the same, salam alaikum. Yeah, this is the phrase. So this phrase is ingrained in humanity, humans, regardless of their religion. The medieval Christians, they used to say pax vobixum. This also means peace be upon you. So Assalamu alaikum is ingrained in all humans, regardless of their religions, Christians, Muslims, and Jews. And the greeting is the same because this is the greeting, this is the phrase our Lord taught our father on the very first day he was created. So when we say Assalamu alaikum, we need to make sure, my brothers and sisters, that this is not just a phrase. This is not merely a phrase. When we say peace be upon you, we should mean it. When we say Assalamu alaikum, this means you, whoever you are saying salam to, you should mean that I have a peace for you. I have no harmful feelings for you. I only have the feelings of khair and good for you. I do not want any sickness and illness in you. I want you to be protected from all the diseases and illnesses and all the trials and problems in your life. If you say Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters, mean it. Mean it. And when you say Assalamu alaikum, you mean it that you are protected from me. You will not have any harm from me. How can you say Assalamu alaikum and backbite that brother? How can you say on one side you say peace be upon you and then you slander on the person you are saying Assalamu alaikum to? How can you say any harmful? How can you say any harmful remarks about her? How can you bully someone if you say Assalamu? If you really mean it, if you really mean your greetings. So when people not only just exchange the phrase of greetings, but they exchange the greeting, they say the greetings out of the depth of their hearts, then the society will be full of peace and it will be free from fasad and disorder. There won't be any fasad and enmity and hate in the society if the people just focus on this first message of Prophet ﷺ, which he gave when he entered first time in the mixed society, Medina, where Jews and Christians and idol worshipping and Muslims, they lived together. Ya Yuhannas, Afsha Salam. And the second commandment Prophet ﷺ gave in Hadith, Wa at'imu ta'am. Ya Yuhannas, Afsha Salam wa at'imu ta'am. Feed the hungry. You cook the food, you eat yourself, and you also give this food, offer this food to others. This could also means social care. You live in a society, you keep an eye on the hungry people. If somebody is hungry in the society, feed him, give him food. My brothers and sisters, this is very basic need of all human beings. If somebody can't afford food, it's the duty, it's the social duty of care of other humans to provide him the food. This is the basic need, regardless of what religion, regardless of what creed and what community they belong to. This also means, Vati Mutam also means socialization. Maybe somebody is not hungry, maybe somebody is not in need, maybe somebody is not poor, but he is friend, just to build up relations. Socializations, just to build up relations. Offer food to each other, eat together. This will help build up the social relations with the community. And it also means social care, taking care of the needy people. This is so important. Sometimes we restrict our fulfillment of the needy people. We only help to the Muslims. Do not restrict your help. Do not restrict your food to Muslims alone. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verses of Surah Insan, where he commanded to feed the poor, there were not many Muslims in Makkah at that time. There is one surah called Surah Insan, Surah Dahar, Hal ata alal insani hinum min ad-dahr. This surah was revealed in the early times of Makkah, when there were not many Muslims in Makkah, and there were not many Muslim poor and Muslim yatim. Allah commands us in this ayah, in the ayah of this surah, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Allah describes the characteristics of the believers, that they feed the poor, they feed the prisoners, they feed the yatim. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. There were not many Muslims orphans, there were not many Muslim miskins, there were not Muslim prisoners of war in that society. Many prisoners, many slaves, majority of the orphans, they were non-Muslims. Allah is commanding Muslims, feed them, help them, give them food. Do not think that they are not Muslims yet. We only help Muslims. There's another important highlight we can share here. When Prophet ﷺ first time received Wahi, revelation in cave Hira, because he saw angels first time in his life, he was shaking, trembling, he was terrified, he was scared. He saw the angels, and angel Jibreel, he was squeezing him. He was terrified, he was shaking, trembling. And he came home and he told his wife Khadija radiyallahu ta'ala anha, Khadija, I am scared. Angels came to me and he talked to me. I am seeing the images. I am terrified. I might be killed. Something can happen to me. I am scared of my life. Because Prophet ﷺ, he was human. He was human. Apart from being a prophet, he was human. If you see the angel, you will be terrified as well. And Prophet ﷺ was very scared. He was scared of his life. Something could happen to me. I might be killed. Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha supporting him. She said, you should not be scared. You should not be scared. You should not be terrified. Your God will not let you be humiliated. Nothing will happen to you. Why? Because you feed the poor. You look after the needy people in the society. Whenever there is a problem in the community, you are the first one there to help them. So, at that time, my brothers and sisters, there was no Muslim needy in the society. Islam is just being introduced. This is the first wahi. Prophet ﷺ used to look after the orphans, the needy people, even before he became a prophet. He was known for this act. That is what Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha referring to. That you look after the needy people, you look after the orphans in the community. So nothing will happen to you. So Prophet ﷺ was known for this act to help the needy people in the society. So we should not restrict our help to only Muslims. Muslims and non-Muslims, they equally deserve our help when it comes to food. When you see any beggar in the street, he is asking and saying, change please, change please. Don't think that he is not a Muslim. Don't think in your mind he could be drug addict and he is this and he is that. If you can't help, if you can't give any money, if you can't help him, just don't say anything. Just be quiet. Qawlum ma'roof. Say the good thing. If you can't help, you can't help. At least do not give the bad remarks about the people who are asking for help. So this is the second commandment we see in this hadith. So first commandment, afshu salam. Second commandment, wa atimu ta'am. The third commandment, wasilul arham. Look after the relations. Your wife, your husband, your children, your parents, your relatives, cousins, brothers, sisters. These are the blood relations. Prophet ﷺ is advising us in this hadith. It is advising the community. Try your best to maintain, to keep connections with these relations. These relations are so important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala derived his name, Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name is Rahim, Ar-Rahman. And this name, Allah's name is derived, he derived his name from Rahim. And Ar-Rahim means Rahim, womb, the relations of the womb. It's the same root word. So this relation, Wasilul Arham, so important that Allah's name is derived. This is the privilege of these relations. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam thirdly advising that maintain the relation. Sometimes we are very good at our workplaces with our colleagues. We are very smiling at workplaces. We are known to be very good and with good manners in the community and the society. But inside our homes, when siblings deal with each others, when parents and children, they deal with each others, they are sometimes not very polite and exchanging smiles with each others. Sometimes they are rough because they live together. Our real test is our relations with whom we live all the times. At workplace, we just see each other formally and we come home. We do not spend informal life with them. Our real relations, our blood relations, they are our real test. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is advising us in particular, be good with them. So similarly, Wasilul Arham. And then finally, Prophet ﷺ gave fourth advice. وَصَلُّوا بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَصَلُّوا بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامٌ. When all other human beings are sleeping, third part of the night, then wake up and pray tahajjud. This is the fourth advice Prophet ﷺ is giving. So, tahajjud prayer means the person prays other prayers. You will not see anybody who prays tahajjud and does not pray farz prayers or does not fast. Whoever prays tahajjud, this means he fulfills other parts of Islam. So, tahajjud prayer, mentioning tahajjud prayer means he maintains his other 5 times obligatory prayers. He maintains at least his obligatory fasting and other basics elements of his religion. And it is also important to note that praying tahajjud, praying ibadat, worship is the right of Allah, is the relationship with Allah. The first three parts of this hadith are about to maintain the relations with the humans. Afshish salam, greetings, say salam to each other. And atimutam, feed each others. It's all about the socialization with human, building up relations with human. And thirdly, wasilul arham, again building up all the 3 commandments out of the 4. So 75% commands of this hadith are about to build up relations with human, fulfill the rights of human. Only 1/4 of this hadith, one of the 4 commandments is about relation with Allah, fulfilling the rights of Allah. When it comes to rights of Allah, Allah can forgive because it's His rights. When it comes to the rights of human, then it's up to the human whether he forgives. If you robbed money from some human, Allah won't forgive you. Only that human can forgive you. You have to give this back to him. You have to compensate to him. If you've been abusive to some human, only that human can forgive you. If you go to Hajj and Umrah and pray all night and keep on seeking forgiveness, oh Allah, forgive me, and I have been abusive to that person. I have robbed this much money from that person. I deceived that person. This can only be forgiven when the person is asking forgiveness from that person. So human rights, they are very important. When we, there's a hadith and we are very much familiar with this. When we go to Umrah and Hajj, all the sins are forgiven. Here only those sins are forgiven which are related to Allah. The sins are which are related to human, they are not forgiven by just doing Umrah. And this doesn't mean you rob 100,000 pounds from somebody, you deceived somebody with money, and next day you take a flight and go to Umrah and you think it will be forgiven. No. You robbed 100,000 pounds and spent 1,000 pounds on Umrah. You cannot be clever with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forgive the rights of human. So these rights can only be forgiven if you seek forgiveness from those persons. So in this hadith we see in the first khutbah of Prophet ﷺ when he entered Medina, out of the 4, 3 commandments are related to human rights. Only 1 commandment, وَصَلُّوا بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامٌ. When the whole humanity is asleep, then stand up and pray. And final part of hadith, my brothers and sisters, in the hadith, Allah says, تَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةَ بِسَلَامٍ. You will enter paradise with peace. If you fulfill all these rituals, if you fulfill all these 4 commandments, simple 4 commandments of life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you are promised paradise. Simple religion, simple religions. You don't have to memorize all the hadiths and the Quran. Just fulfill simple commandments. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to fulfill the basics elements of Islam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.
Allah